If you're a fan of Atheism is Unstoppable or Racism is Unstoppable, don't watch this video. It's time for Preaching to the Choir Ministries.
The problem is not that this guy was treated with, a special privilege. The problem is that people who are black are often treated unfairly, and that's the problem that we need to focus on.
People that are black are often treated unfairly? What? Oh, cry me a river. Oh, the people that are black, they're often treated unfairly by the cops? Maybe they should stop dealing with the cops. Maybe they should stop committing crimes. How about you mention that in the sentence? Like, please just mention that the black people are insanely more criminal than every other race of people. Is that worth a mention? Or no, they're the victims, right? So while they're committing crimes, while they are killing infinitely more people than every other race in America kill, they're getting victimized. Oh, I'm supposed to feel bad for that? Fuck that. But thank you, Jacqueline, for not just fighting police brutality. No, fighting police brutality when it comes to black people. That's your noble crusade.
Okay, so let me educate Atheism is Unstoppable. I'm sorry, Racism is Unstoppable for a moment, since African Americans are the ones who commit most of the crimes, and we commit infinitely more crimes than any other race group out there.
Excuse me, were you saying that sarcastically? Gary? Gary! That's this guy's name. I can't take a guy seriously who's named Gary. I'm sorry.
Gary! 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 Gary? Gary, come in here. Gary, where are you?
But Gary, you sort of dismissed that statement. Black people do commit the most crimes at a crazy rate. Sorry to be the messenger of that obvious fact. Gary, you live in New Jersey. You live right next door to New York. Why don't you take a little walk, a little look-see-do, go down to the prisons in New York State, take a peek as to who's in those prisons. Go talk to the police chief over in New York or Jersey and let them explain this to you. Now, hopefully the police officer or the police chief in question will be black or brown, because if that person happened to be white, you would react the way you're reacting now by calling them a racist. I'm sorry, a racist. You racist?
You racist?
You're so horrible. So, Gary, Gary, black people do commit more crimes than everybody else. Oh, and for all of those Canadian vaginal sleeved bitches out there, when I say black people commit the most crime out of every other race, I mean those in the black community who do commit the crime.
Gary, where are you?
Obviously, you big-nosed illiterate douche. Gary? Continue, Gary, please.
Mind you, I am not tying in all the atheists here on YouTube with this particular thing. I'm just talking about this one moronic dummy who said this on the internet.
Pause. Now, Gary is about to expose me online. He's about to hit me with the argument of all arguments to refute somehow my understanding of black crime stats in America. This situation is going to go poof, bye-bye because of the next argument Gary's going to put forward. And I'm going to be exposed as being a racist. Are you guys ready at home? I am. I can't wait to hear this.
Fact of the matter is that the Ku Klux Klan has killed many African Americans. Why? Because they're African Americans.
Gary?
Gary!
Oh, Gary! Oh, dear God, Gary.
Gary!
What the fuck kind of a statement was that? The KKK has killed black people is the card you just played in response to the never-ending bloodbath that black people perpetrate on our society. So the stats I'm referencing are happening right now. You just referenced a non-existent group of people. What in the hell kind of a point is that to make? The KKK? It's like somebody is being too honest about black people and the crime they commit. Panic. How about the KKK? Anybody want to divert? Anybody want to talk about the KKK? Oh, you know what? I'll just dovetail this beautifully. I'll accuse you of being a member, a supporter of the KKK. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Oh, Christ, is that nice? Oh yeah, just anchor that label onto somebody who has the balls to mention the black crime stats and just how abhorrent they are. I condemn the black criminals. Do you realize how controversial that is to say? That's how fucking pathetic the world is. The PC, regressive, bullshit, racist bitches out there. I can say a statement like this. I blame black criminals for their ridiculous, fucking insane crime stats. Oh, what? You didn't blame yourself for that? You're telling me you're not even going to talk about slavery or racism? Oh, what? You don't want to deflect? You don't want to talk about the KKK now?
Gary!
You just want to blame people for their actions? Sounded like, who's that? Jar Jar Binks, his like commander, like the leader of that people. I sounded like him. That's how crazy this is. I'm also very proud of myself that I don't know the name of that character or the name of the type of alien that Jar Jar Binks was. I'm actually happily surprised to find that I could not access that information in my brain. So Gary, talking about the KKK is so fucking pathetic. It destroys my brain. What effing point do you have to make? How does this alleviate? How does this excuse black criminality today? What do I have to do with the KKK? Fuck the KKK. Who cares about the KKK? They don't exist. They are 5,000 hicks. Jesus Christ. What a pointless thing to say.
We had slave owners in this country that killed African Americans. Why? Because they got drunk, they was in a bad mood, and because they could do that.
Oh, I spoke too soon. We had slave owner. He goes to the KKK and then pulls out the fucking mother load. Slavery. So now the conversation, his response to me talking about black crime and saying, fuck that, these people are committing all this crime, I'm against those people. And his response is to drop two buzzwords on you, KKK and slavery. Now, what is the logical connection here? What are we supposed to do now? This is just a guilt bomb. What he has just attempted is a smokescreen of guilt. He's like a magician who wants to exit the stage and he drops a smoke grenade. KKK, slavery. Think about that. Discuss. What was your involvement? That was your people. Those were white people doing that, right? You're white and those were white people. Do the math, dude. Do the math. That should provide a thick enough layer of guilt for you to stray away from the topic of black crime. How dare you? How dare you try to treat us like you treat everybody else? How dare you not be paternalistic with us and expect more from us? Shocking. Shame on you.
Let's fast forward a little bit to the civil rights movement when, black people wanted equality in this country and we went to drink out of the same water fountains that you were drinking out of, maybe use the same bathrooms that you guys were using, but we were killed speaking up about those things.
G-Man, Gary. Oh, Gary.
Gary!
I'm against... Oh, Christ.
Gary!
Look at what I've been brought to. Look at what I have been brought to. Gary, I'm against the KKK.
Gary!
I'm also against slavery. Now, you and I agree on one of those points. We disagree on another. You are against the KKK. You are not against slavery.
Gary, where are you?
Which has been highlighted on YouTube countless times. Matt Dillahunty bitch slapped you on this topic. I have bitch slapped you. You and your fuck buddy, Veckel, have been exposed and shamed as being the house niggas that you are for supporting slavery as black Christians. Fucking obscene. So yeah, Gary, if you want to bring up slavery, why don't we now talk about your support of the institution of slavery? Oh, I guess we're not going to go there, right?
Let's fast forward a little bit to the civil rights movement when, black people wanted equality in this country and we went to drink out of the same water fountains that you were drinking out of, maybe use the same bathrooms that you guys were using, but we were killed speaking up about those things. Okay, so again, the smokescreen of guilt continues. Gary, it's not 1960.
Gary, you can drink out of my water fountain. What kind of time machine are we on? Notice that I was not criticizing ancient crime. I was criticizing modern day crime. And I'm aware of the modern day stats and which demographic commits by far the most. You notice that I didn't go into some diatribe about crime in the 1500s. And you know what? It's those goddamn Aztecs. Aztecs commit more crime per capita than every other tribe in this country. No, Gary, I'm not talking about that because we're talking about modern times.
We commit infinitely more crimes than any other race in the world?
Any other race in the world? What are you talking about? This is not some international coalition of races, Gary. Gary, yes, every other race, every other demographic. When you break down the crime stats by race, the black people in America commit the most for the fucking billionth time. That's irrefutable, Gary. Oh, Gary.
Really?
Yes, really, Gary. Yeah.
I hate to say this, but this is when the Black Hebrew Israelites will start making a little bit more sense here, because that's a bunch of horse manure.
So that's pure denial. So now we have pure denial. This guy, anybody in the fucking galaxy, is 3 seconds away from Googling this information for themselves. The truth is out there. The stats are out there. Every goddamn year. This is not a fucking new phenomenon. This is an obvious fact. Gary, who's from fucking Jersey City, some shithole within a shithole in the worst fucking state in the union, should know this.
Gary!
I know this because I come from Los Angeles. So I saw this. I witnessed this firsthand. Oh my God, look at that fucking face. Yowzers. Oh, giving Aaron Ra a run for his money there. Jesus.
Look at the police brutality that goes on in this country month after month, year after year in this country. I mean, are you serious?
Police brutality can kiss my ass. That problem is minuscule. Minuscule, my little friend. Nobody cares, Gary, especially if you're so fucking dumb and so fucking intellectually demented that you think it's wise to talk about police brutality without talking about the incredibly larger problem of black crime. This is like people who talk about Islamophobia and they say, oh, anti-Muslim bigotry, that's the big problem. No, it's not. It's Muslim terrorism. It's Islamism. It's jihadism. That's the problem. These two things are not even remotely comparable. And police brutality, yeah, okay. The majority of cases that are dragged out into the mainstream as saying, look, this is another example of police brutality, are not even police brutality. They're not even police brutality. Dog shit. Like Michael Brown. It's not a case. What the fuck are you talking about? These people avoid the topic, the elephant, the black elephant in the room, which is black people commit far more crimes than every other fucking demographic, and it's not close. We are talking about the big crimes. Assault, rape, murder, arson, all that shit. Theft. The big dogs. That's the shit you're not going to hear about. And instead you get mental midgets like Gary talking about slavery and the KKK and then the civil rights movement and water fountains.
Gary!
That is where we're at here, folks. Sadly. And it's amazing. They expected me. See, they didn't know who I was when they started this. They thought I was some beta male bitch from Canada. Turns out I wasn't. It turns out I wasn't going to cower at watching them freak out with their white guilt. No, I wasn't going to do that. I actually doubled down on my factual statements because I know I'm right, because it doesn't take a genius to figure this shit out. Oh, and Gary doesn't have a white guilt. No, he's just willing to leverage white guilt because he's a fucking racist. Because he's unwilling to call out his own people on the heinous shit they do. He doesn't like that narrative. No, well, Gary's got a lot of problems mentally in general. Have you seen his videos? Do you know his stance on the nature of the universe? Ask him about slavery. That's a good starting point.